Yo, what's good, people? I go by the name of Killer Beezy, and today we are here to discuss Longshot, man. If you guys enjoy these type of videos, make sure you hit the like button and let me know in the comments below what you guys' thoughts are if you found this video helpful, man. Anyway, I'm gonna leave a few things up on the screen so you guys can like read through the abilities and stuff while we talk about Longshot as a champion, right? So the gameplay doesn't really showcase. I've kind of really jumped on last minute gameplay. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, I am in part of the content creator program, so we gain champions for a specific period of time just to do some testing and whatnot, review them, and then the champions are removed from our accounts, right? So I only had a short window, not because of Kabam. I had a short window because I kind of left it till last minute to record the gameplay and to kind of play around with the champion. I didn't really get to play around that much, but from everything that I understood about his abilities and whatnot, he's a decent champion. He's a decent champion. I'll give you the perfect example, right? If you guys do not have a nullifying champion and you do not have a Ronin, yeah, then you need this guy. but before we get any further in, I must say, yo, his special free is just so whack, man. Dude, when I was doing the gameplay, sorry, excuse me. When I was doing the gameplay and I saw his special free for the first time, I was like, bruh. I was like, bruh. Anyway, besides that, so let's get back to talking about the champion, right? So, for me, he's got some really good abilities. Like all champions, you get a good few champions where their abilities outshine in specific scenarios, and this is definitely one of those champions. The same way how, like, if you are using Ronin in a fight where you're coming across someone that has multiple buffs, then Ronin is gonna shine. Similar situation to Longshot. If you're using Longshot in a scenario where the enemy has a lot of buffs, then Longshot is gonna shine. Yeah, his utility, or sorry, damage, shall I say, is definitely gonna be there. However, in a fight like this, where Winter Soldier doesn't really gain any buffs, you're not really gonna see the best from him. You're not gonna see what the best uses are for him in a fight like this. So, there are a lot of matchups where he would be really good. Fighting against Medusa would be good. Fighting against Juggernaut would be good. Fighting against Red Skull would be good. There's just a few, like, a lot of champions that gain buffs. Carnage is another one. Hyperion would be a good one. One of my favorite things that I definitely want to talk about Longshot is how his ability works to steal the opponent's buff. Now, there's only a 60% chance, but I must be honest with you guys, man. I didn't feel like it was 60%. I felt like it was more like 80%, because it was obviously, call me lucky, but it was happening so often that I was just thinking, dude, this can't be 60%. Like, at one point, I thought, dude, this has to be 100%, man, because I'm stealing all these guys. I'm stealing all this guy's buffs. You're gonna see, after this fight, we go up against Juggernaut. Now, I didn't use any potions or anything. I just thought, let me just see, if I can get to Juggernaut, and let's see how the stealing buff works. Because initially, I thought that the way it was gonna work with Longshot being able to steal an opponent's buffs was gonna be based on hitting into the opponent while they had their buff. And I'm quite glad it doesn't. It's literally like, as soon as the buff would proc for the opponent, it has a chance to basically go to proc and get cancelled, and obviously proc on Longshot. So that is really handy, because when you're fighting people like the champion or Juggernaut and they go to use a special attack or they go to gain unstoppable, that you have a 60% chance that it fails to proc for them, and you are actually the one that gains the unstoppable the unstoppable buff. So yeah, man, I found that really useful, because obviously when you're coming up in fights like, we're going back now, where we go to the, I believe it's Act 5 in Ultron, when those buffs pop up, the power gain, the regen, the fury, going in there with a guy like Longshot, whenever they proc, he'd have a chance to steal the buff. So I'm not sure if it works for passive buffs, though. That I wouldn't expect it to work for passive buffs. I would expect it to, that's the point. Bringing up that Ultron fight just made me kind of think, oh, hold on a minute. So I don't think it will work for passive buffs, but at the same time, I didn't get a chance to test if it does. So if anybody has done, whether you're a content creator that has used Longshot, or by the time you're seeing this video, you might have pulled Longshot and had a chance to test him. If you know that it affects passive buffs as well, then let me know in the comments below. But I'm not expecting it to. I believe it will be non-passive buffs. But yeah, either way, that's probably one of my favorite things, to be honest with you, because it can be a pain when you're fighting champions that have a massive regen, or, you know, gain unstoppable. It can make fights a bit difficult, and, you know, having a champion with you that can just take that warrior away by stealing the buff is very handy, man. You might not realize how handy it is until you're in the fight and it happens, and you're like, oh yeah. Like when I went into fight Juggernaut, although my intention when I started fighting Winter Soldier was, oh yeah, get to Juggernaut and let's see how this goes. And yeah, man, like as soon as the match started, I was like, yo, this is sick. So yeah, I really enjoy that about him. One other thing I would kind of say, I mean, you know, by this time in the game, you got champions that are, you got Mystic champions that are quite good at removing buffs, right? So nullifying buffs, right? So, you know, you've got the Magics, you've got the Doctor Doom, you've got Symbiote Supreme, you've got Clairvoyant, and I'm sure there's a bunch of others that I haven't mentioned, right? But those are the ones that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, right? And the one thing that I would say, I wouldn't necessarily say this guy is the best Mystic. You know, in certain scenarios, yeah, sure, he's definitely the best, and you can probably say that about a lot of champions. But one of the things to note about this champion is, although you have the ability to nullify and do damage based on the buffs that you nullify, there's no power control. And I'm not bringing this up to say, oh yeah, Kabam should have given him a power control option. I'm saying it to say, look, a champion like this doesn't necessarily mean that you don't need champions like Doctor Doom or Magic. You know, it's really good to have the ability to nullify buffs as well as power control. Because, you know, when you come across fights like Hyperion or champions in general that have like any kind of power gain ability, you know, this champion is not going to stop you from gaining 3 bars of power. Do you know what I mean? So that is something to note. You know, if you're someone that has Magic or has Doctor Doom, don't look at this guy like, or even Symbiote Supreme, don't look at this guy like, oh yeah, once I get this guy, then that's my main Mystic champion. Like, you know, there's another sense of, you know, utility that you can get from other Mystic champions that do have nullifying abilities, that also have power control, that also come in handy in different types of matchups. So it's not always all about nullifying and doing damage. You know, sometimes you have to play a lot of fights smart and, you know, be able to power control or whatnot. So that's one point I just wanted to raise, because, you know, I think normally when a new champion comes in and he's got similar abilities to another set of champions, it's often, okay, who's better? But, you know, I wouldn't necessarily compare him to people like Doctor Doom or to Magic, because his abilities are different. You know, he's a different kind of champion. If you're looking to go into a node where, like I said, I wasn't topping up my health, but if you're looking to go into a node where, you know, there's a lot of buffs and you want to try and do as much damage as possible, then this is your guy. But if you're going into a fight like with Hyperion, like I said, where you're going to be building Furies and he's going to be gaining a lot of power, this might not necessarily be the right guy to use. Do you know what I mean? There will be other better options that can nullify buffs and control the power at the same time. So but yeah, for me, if you guys want to know whether you should grind or never mind, I believe this champion is worth grinding, especially if you have like a Doctor Doom or Magic or Symbiote Supreme and you've got like a 5-star Ronin, then you don't necessarily, there's not a massive need to grind for this champion. But if you don't have any of those champions, then this guy is like a Symbiote Supreme and a Ronin in one. Do you know what I mean? So So I definitely think he's worth the grind, man. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like I said, thank you guys for watching the video, man. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are in the comments below. And take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Peace.